So it's Thursday, March the 6th, in the year 2025. It's just around 15 minutes to 6. And this has been a very interesting afternoon. I was telling my wife politics is not an easy game. The more you live, the more you learn. I was telling my wife. So I must admit, this afternoon, the VP Bar Jagdeo's press conference was one of the most interesting. I've watched quite a few press conferences, but I think this afternoon, if some of you get a chance, I'm just going to be posting a short clip of what I am trying to highlight here. But if you get a chance, try to watch the entire press conference today held by the Vice President Bar Jagdeo. The impression I got is that this press conference this afternoon was to cover details concerning the team Mohameds. Yes, I could remember probably 3 weeks back or so when the Vice President was constantly asked about making comments about Team Mohamed. He would say, look, they have not declared interest in getting into politics, and therefore I'm not going to comment. He even made a reference to Glenn Lal, saying that, look, I've eased off of Glenn Lal because so far Glenn Lal has not declared interest in taking part in upcoming elections. But I guess all of that changed after Sheikh Mohammed, the father of Aslan Mohammed, made that video. And then I understand there was another video coming from Mr. Cribble. And as you were saying this afternoon, after the video went viral on social media, he felt that this afternoon he had to respond. My takeaway, as I was telling my wife, is that the Vice President is claiming that the Mohammeds were told that if they participate in the elections, they can show the American government that, look, because we are participating in this regional and general elections, we are being prosecuted. And the government is trying to retaliate against us. And according to Jagdeo, I don't know where you got it from, but I guess they have their intelligence sources. According to the VP, they're hoping that they were told that by doing this, eventually the United States would lift the sanctions against them. So I don't know. I was always wondering why the Ghanaian Daily News, sometimes they would make it 3 to 4 posts a day against Mohammed. I kept wondering why, and even the Ghanaian critics, I kept wondering why. And I think in a previous video I said, yeah, is it a fear factor of the Mohammeds taking part in these elections? But the VP is giving his reason, the lifting of sanctions. I don't know. That's the Vice President saying that. Maybe they, as I said, maybe they have their own sources of intelligence. The Big Smith on the Facebook had like a online poll in terms of who do you favor in terms of presidential to be president of Guyana, and I think they have a picture of opposition leader Norton, President Ali, I think Simona Brooms, Aslan Mohammed. I can't remember another face. And I clicked on all of them to see the percentage of votes that were collected. And next to the photograph of Aslan Mohammed, he had the most in terms of percentage of people who would like him to be president. But as I said, right, online voting is not scientifically proven to me. But I mean, it just shows you maybe how people are thinking. Jagdeo talk about the Shama phenomenon when Shama was on. Yes, I could remember seeing Shama and people will say, yes, Mr. Sharma, we're going to vote for you. And when it's time to vote now, it was another story. He didn't get those overwhelming votes. I think Professor Hines is hoping for the same thing, the people who are following his program. He's hoping that all those people that got on his program, they would end up voting for the WPA, which I'm certain most of those people are going to end up voting for the PNC. But that's how it goes. But another thing apart from the so-called sanctions being lifted if he takes part in elections, the other thing I was looking at, Jagdeo claimed that I'm trying to remember exactly what I was about to say here. Oh, he was saying that if people accept donations, especially financial donations on Mohameds, they can be sanctioned. So I don't know. This is some big revelations here. As I said, get the chance, watch the full video. I'm just going to be posting an excerpt of what I was mediating on. Enjoy.
He heard a lot of things, and he spoke about what he heard from people, etc. I've heard that they were advised that if you run for government, the United States government will drop the sanctions on you because they would think you're a political opponent and therefore you may get the sanctions dropped. Two, we've seen this all the time. Remember when C.N. Sharma got into trouble? He claimed he had trouble of a different nature with the law. He didn't claim, oh, because I'm running against the government. So, any trouble now, they would try to make all of this seem as though because they're getting into politics, that the PPP is upset with them. No, the PPP, we didn't impose the sanctions. The whole worry started with the sanctions. Not the PPP taking actions against them, but the actions were a consequence of the sanctions. Consequence of the sanctions. So, this is the thinking, I think. Oh, if we run, the US government may drop the case against us. Secondly, that we can always claim that any enforcement action which the PPP would do, because the US has asked for additional stuff, significant amount of additional stuff, that could see more serious enforcement action against them, they can claim, oh, it's because they're political opponents of the PPP. Let me say something. We have seen all sorts come and go. So people believe because they have a social media following that they can even write and post on. You got to get other people to do that. That translates into political support. We've seen the Sharma phenomenon, etc. You've got to be extremely delusional to think that what people say to you because you're sharing out some money on the ground, that would translate into votes. And by the way, about sharing out money, I hear a lot about this. If you evade, as the American government claimed, $11 billion in taxes, you could easily spend $200 million or $300 million on giving it out. You still have $10 billion of evaded taxes, and give it to a couple of people, 100,000 here, or build a small house for them. So what's this big deal? And is it done as a cover to ensure that there is no strong enforcement action? Because it gets magnified. One house, 20 people say, oh, he's building more houses than the government. Somebody said that. One of their fictitious people they put there. And then it's not true. But you know how social media is and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the people will fool him. But if you're evading on one instance $11 billion of taxes, that's a good business to be in. Evade 11 billion, as the US government said, and then spend 200-300 million on handing out. You know, who operated like that? It's the Pablo Escobars of the world. They give out some stuff like that. But let's go on. So I don't have any doubt that at some point in time he'd find common cause with the PNC. This is the same PNC APNU playbook. Because Mr. Mohamed himself said he used to make financial contributions to all the political parties, supported the PPP, but he made financial contributions to the others. I know they've been having links and talks. So ultimately, this would happen. They start off as independent, but in the back room, they get support because somehow APNU believes wrongly. They've always miscalculated that he's going to make a difference on the ground. On the ground, it's different. So, and I tell you why. So let me just say, I've seen people with political character. And since today, so the reason I'm taking him on today, because he went political today for the first time in a meeting in Essequibo. It was sent to me just now, where he accused some government officials of corruption. And basically, in addition, financial institutions and other persons that engage in certain transactions or activities with the sanctioned entities and individuals may expose themselves to sanctions or be subject to an enforcement action. Not just sanctions, you can be subject to enforcement action. The prohibitions include the making of any contribution or provision of funds, goods or services by, to, or for the benefit of any designated person, or the receipt of any contribution or provision of funds, goods or services from any such person. So if you receive a contribution from the Mohameds, you can be sanctioned here too. This is clear as daylight, and it speaks about any person, not US nationals here. So it was very misleading to claim that it was the sanctions were only against him and he could not do business, or the family, and they could not do business with US entities. Basically, it put at the sanctions put at risk anyone or any institution anywhere in the world, including in Guyana, of being sanctioned themselves or being subjected to an enforcement action if they do business with the Mohameds or receive a contribution from the Mohameds. That is, if they make any payment to the Mohameds or they receive any payments for the Mohammed. So, who lost their visas? Now, he said that Daily News and Critic are surrogates of the PPP. Now, we don't control the Daily News. We don't control Critic. So let me make that clear. They're not surrogates of the PPP. The PPP, if you want to hear our position on a matter, you come here, I speak about it, you ask me. I don't hide behind people to talk about our positions or news entity. Which are the surrogates of the Mohammeds? Because I know for sure that they're paying large numbers of people to carry the message, including social media influencers. So who their surrogates? What about their surrogates? He's talking about PPP surrogates. We don't deal with these we deal with these organizations the same way that we deal with anyone else. But you don't need a third party to hear our views. You hear our views directly from us. So he claimed that they've been saying a number of people lost their visas because of association with them. And he claimed that it's PPP because of association with the administration, Irfan Ali's administration. So let me tell you about my personal experience. And the president can tell you the same, and many of the people. I've had entertainers who complained to me. They were called, when they traveled to the United States, they were taken to secondary and questioned for hours about the connection with the Mohameds. Entertainers, because somewhere they received some maybe contribution from them. I've had people complain who are religious leaders who lost their visas because, and they're questioned in the United States of America. Some of them were transiting there, they couldn't transit back because, and they were questioned only about their association with the Mohameds. You had mechanics, you had purchasers, you had a ton of people who have either been questioned or lost their visas because of association and when they go into the US government. So that's why I said a couple of weeks ago that numerous people, when asked by the media. So notice, none of that, but it's, oh, people are losing their visas because of the association with government. This is obfuscating the issue. This is sidetracking the main issue. That is why in this statement that he made, he had to start with the false premise that only US entities could be sanctioned. You know, Guyanese could be sanctioned because of the association with the Mohameds, when people are actually quietly bearing a lot of suffering and pain because they don't want to go public. No, it's a stigma, the shame. They don't want to go, they lost their visas, and they don't want people to know. And so, it sets up the third point in his statement. He said that he's been treated badly by all of the entities. He lost his cambio license, his mining permit was canceled by the government. Now the vessels these foreign vessels owned by the Mohameds doesn't get permission for the cabotage any longer, and just somehow makes this into a conspiracy. He's been treated badly. I have constitutional rights here in Guyana. I'm treated badly by this administration.